So now we come into the next day and we get this nice bullish cross in here. We've had heavy selling. Market is pretty much where it was when that jobs report came out. Compressed, tiny bodied candles. Red, green candles, nothing really going on. So how do I read this? Well, from a trading standpoint, it does suggest that there is still some support. So we saw that residual from the day before. Market wasn't able to sell off. We didn't see any continuation here on that big drop. So it tells us that buyers have been marginally engaged. They're still engaged here. We're not seeing this catastrophic meltdown in the market. So there is a bid. So we get this gap higher. Typically, when you get a gap up, if you're able to compress and hold the gains from that gap up, that's going to be a bullish sign. So I'm going to be leaning bullish when I see this price action. And we're able to hold the gap up. I've got a bullish cross in here. If I've got some really nice, strong stocks, yeah, I would definitely be trying them in here. Would I buy futures? What would get me to buy futures? Well, first of all, I've got to get through this high right here, high of the day. And I got to do it with at least a nice long green candle. Then I would be inclined to at least take a starter position in S&P futures, knowing that I've got this bullish cycle to work with. But you can see from here where we get the cross, it's actually run for probably about half an hour, and I haven't seen that move higher. So I'm kind of watching for it. Ideally, what I really like, and when I can get aggressive with this indicator, is when I get a bullish or a bearish cross and I see instant price movement in that direction. That tells me that, number one, that signal is probably going to be legitimate. Number two, I've got that whole cycle for that move to be produced in. Once I start getting through the kind of the middle of the cycle, and they vary. Sometimes they run for a couple of hours. Sometimes they run in 30 to 45 minutes when they're really brisk like this. So the timing is different. By the way, a lot of people have tried to figure out how this indicator works and they think they've got it figured out. And I have to laugh every time I see that, because you might find moments of correlation with other indicators where you're like, oh, I figured it out. Here it is. And then you look at another sample, another day or two, and it's completely different. There is no other indicator like this. In any event, we get this nice little bullish cross in here. I would need to see a nice poke through to the high, and then I could get behind it. I certainly would try some stocks in here, especially if they had relative strength. So yeah, now we get some follow through, nothing too impressive. Get a bearish cross in here. This is kind of a marginal high. So no, I wouldn't be aggressively trading futures in here. Tiny compressed bodied candles, that tells me there is some selling pressure. So I'm not convinced that this bullish cycle is going to produce at this point in time. And there I get a long red candle. Okay. Am I going to get short here? No, I'm not going to get short on any kind of red candle, but I'm going to be watching to see what happens with that red candle, because if I start to get some follow through and I get another long red candle and I easily test VWAP, okay, maybe that I would consider trading, but I don't get that. I'm still in wait and see mode. This actually is pretty interesting to me because I see this red candle reversed instantly. Not, sometimes you'll see it in one candle. 2 candles is pretty good. If you can reverse a candle like that in 2 candles, that's bullish to me. That tells me for sure I'm not shorting, because they tried to whack this thing down and buyers did come in. Looking for the market to maybe move higher, because this was definitely a tell for me. And no, that green candle produced nothing. We didn't get any follow through, and now we're starting to leak oil in here. So I'm still just kind of watching. And as about 3 hours into trading, now we're starting to see that we've got very compressed price action in here. Not a lot happening one way or the other, but buyers have been able to show that they're supporting the market after just a nasty, awful, horrible jobs report. And the overall market trend has been higher. So I'm always going to have that bullish kind of bias, because I know that the longer term market trend has been higher. So I got this bearish cycle in here. Now I'm just going to wait and see, because it's starting to produce. Still would not have really taken a futures position. And we can see that the volume is relatively light. There's not a lot going on volume-wise, and these tiny bodied candles are not giving me much to lean on. So this bearish cycle, let's just see how it plays out. And yes, we are starting to drift back lower again. I'm just going to forward to the next cross. That's not much of a cross in here because it's right at the 0 line. But we get a little bump off of it, and then we get another bearish cross right in here. We're starting to see a little bit of selling momentum in here. And you can see that we've got a lot more red candles than green candles. We're checking the open and the low of the day. So there's the open, and there's the low, and there's another low. And now we're starting to see that this support level is starting to give way. And we can see that we've got a little bearish cross in here. Would I be trading this? No, I probably would not be trading this either. I'd probably just be sitting back and watching to see what happens. And hopefully we get a nice big bearish cycle. Not really. So what happened on this particular day? This is one of the days when you should sit on your hands. I see a lot of traders forcing trades when conditions are marginal. And this is tiny bodied mixed candles back and forth. We're still in this tight trading range. Not a lot going on. If you could have latched on back in here to a stock that had decent relative strength and was powering higher, you could have been riding it. And once this selling started to materialize and you tested VWAP and you drifted below it, yeah, you would probably take gains on it. Choppy back and forth, lots of mini little crosses in here. Not the big, nice, deep troughs, nice big spikes with clean crosses. That's ideally what we want to see out of this indicator on heavy volume. So I'd mentioned to you earlier, there are going to be times no indicator is going to work well with this kind of choppy back and forth BS, quite honestly. The trading day is pretty much over, and we can see that, yes, the market was able to find some support after a big round of selling the previous day. Today has been a day of rest. Buyers and sellers are pretty paired off, trying to get things going one way or the other. It just hasn't happened. And we finally get a bearish cross in here toward the end of the day. We had a nice little decent rally up in here, but we're late in the day. I'm not going to be taking a position with only minutes left in the trading day, but you can see how we're going to finish kind of on a soft note, and that gap up is going to be filled. We get a bullish cross right near the end of the day right in here. Market's able to bounce off the low, get a couple of nice green candles. Okay, maybe that's going to set us up for the next day. And we could see that the bloodbath has been averted, so to speak, after that heavy selling. So now we get another market move higher. We're waiting to see what happens. Not a lot. You can see that there's resistance at the prior day's high. Market can't even get back to that prior day's high. Mixed overlapping green and red candles. We're still waiting for some signs that something is going to happen. We get a bearish cross in here, and we get a nice long red candle. I still wouldn't be acting on this. Whoa, there's a nice long red candle during this bearish cycle. Would I act on that long red candle? No, we don't act on long candles. We use them as a reference point. They tell us if they're legitimate or if they were just a head fake, program generated. So you can see that the support is tested, a couple of long bullish hammers in here, and a nice move off of it. We've retraced more than half of this long red candle. Okay, well, that's not what I want to see in terms of a bearish case. I would want to see this long red candle hold. I would want to see another long red or decent red candle. I want to see some follow through to that. I didn't get it. So that tells me I can't trust this long red candle in here. In fact, if I get above the open of this long red candle, it would actually be bullish to me because it tells me that they try to flush out buyers and now they're ready to run it the other way, and that would be above VWAP. So that's what I'd be watching for right now. Is this bearish cycle going to produce? How would I like it to produce? What type of price action would I want to see? Well, I didn't like this. I did not like that we got well into this red candle. So I don't feel like I can trust it. We've got a little bit of rejection off of VWAP. We've got OneOp starting to cross back down again. But until I can see us attack this support level with some nice long red candles, I'm not going to be getting excited to short because I shouldn't be shorting anyway. I'm walking on thin ice if I'm shorting and trading against a longer term market uptrend. So my best case scenarios are going to be to try and buy these dips when I get a nice, clean, crisp, bullish cross. And now I'm starting to see the market find a little bit of support in here. So What happens? No, now actually I am starting to turn a little bullish, even though the indicator is not telling me to be bullish in here. It's in a bearish cycle, but look at what happened. We just got through that resistance level, which was the open of that red candle. This is pretty bullish for me because we've been able to get back above VWAP. If I look at the price action in aggregate, it's choppy back and forth. Try to flush them out. Bought him back. There's nothing going on. There's nothing here that tells me I need to be trading. Okay, so the day continues. Still nothing to really trade off of. I can see though that we've got a higher low double bottom in here and we've got a bullish cross. That's somewhat interesting to me because we can see that this was just a giant fake and it was easily erased. We have a higher low double bottom. We've got support forming here. We've got a couple of long bullish candles off the low. That's nice. We've got a long green candle here. Okay, is that the start of something? They try to smack it back down and they rally it back up. And now we're getting through this red candle. We're getting through this resistance. We're above VWAP and we have a bullish cycle. Would I try and trade in here? Yes, but I would only take a starter long position. Let's see what happens. I've got enough evidence that there's support. We're above VWAP. We've got a bullish 1OP cross. Am I excited about this? Not really. Why not? Long wicks, long tails, got some red candles in here, choppy back and forth price action. So about all I can justify as a starter position. I'm not really adding to anything in here. And we get a little retracement, another bullish cross in here. Okay, well now we're starting to challenge this high. I still have this high to get through. Okay, so that's going to be resistance. This is going to be a minor resistance level. So what do I want to see? I'm still on this bullish cycle. I have a small starter position. What do I want to see? I want to see us blow through that high, that 649.84 level. I want to see us go through it with a nice green candle, and then I want instant follow through. And I've still got this bullish cycle. Did I get it? Yeah, I'm through that level, but I'm not through it in a very convincing way. You can see long wicks, tiny bodied candles. So am I adding to my position? No, I'm just going to stick with what I've got. I'm looking for an exit point. I had a decent entry point back in here. So that's around the 648.77 level. So I've got about a 10-point gain in the futures. I'm going to keep a fairly tight stop and I'm going to see what happens on this fairly choppy looking day. You can see in the start of the day, but this is nice. We're making higher lows. That's good. We're not seeing a lot of dips and retracements to VWAP. That's good. We've had support form after a decent market decline. That's good. So all of these are consistent with staying with the position. See what happens. Okay, now we get a bearish cross in here. We've seen that this has been a fairly wimpy kind of rally with those mixed overlapping candles. We get a nice long green candle to a new high. We want to see it hold. We want to see follow through. And we have a bearish cross right in here. Again, telling us this move might be getting a little overextended. You might want to consider taking profits. So you could have taken some gains in here. You didn't have really cause to because you had nice, decent strength. Now you want to see follow through that green candle, and instead, what are you getting? It's retraced, and I have a bearish cycle. This is where I'm going to be taking gains, especially 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, that whole candle was instantly given up. That's probably a little bit of a climax, a little bit of an attempt to try and flush out some of those buy stops. Probably make close to 10 points on that trade, and now you've got a bearish cycle. Would I short this cycle? I could short in here. I wouldn't have too much of a problem right in here shorting, and I would use the open of this green candle kind of as my stop. Now that I'm below it, I want to make sure that's preserved, and I want to keep adding, and I want to distance myself. I want to see this move right here. I want to see it accelerate, but I don't really have great price action on this particular day. No go. If I did short that, I would instantly be stopped out as we get right back above it. I needed to see follow through. No, this is a bullish engulfing candle. And I can see these mini little crosses. This is not what we want out of the indicator. Back and forth and back and forth. Now, And it's consistent with this type of choppy price action, mixed overlapping candles, long tails, long wicks. All right, so here we got another day. Again, gap up to a new high. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to watch. We're definitely not going to chase this move. We need confirmation, and the mindset that you should be in is that you're not going to chase big gaps up because your odds of a reversal are very high. Just like we saw on that gap up after the jobs report. If you would have bought that gap up, oh my God, did you take a world of pain to the tune of about 80 S&P points? Well, when you gap up, this leaves you plenty of downside risk without having any natural stops in the way. And when you get those moves lower, they are fast and furious. You are going to take losses because all these buyers that rushed in are going to be puking their positions on, and they're going to create additional selling pressure. So in here, you've got a bearish cross, you have a gap up. OneOp is telling you, don't do anything here. See if this bearish cycle produces. If we start moving briskly into this gap right here, would I short? Yeah, I would. I would short a new low of the day here on futures. I would, and I'd use this entry point kind of as a stop too. And once I'm in the trade, I want to see instant follow through. I don't want to languish in this trade and see gradual, tiny drift lower, mixed overlapping candles. Now, this is a gap up. Something's happening in the market. We've seen recent support, so there's no reason for me to languish in a short position that's going against the market. Didn't see that drop. In fact, we had a breakout to a new high of the day. Ooh, okay, so I'm not going to be shorting. I'm going to still be watching to see if this produces. Well, we could see on that move higher, no. Tiny compressed green candles. Resistance, 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 long red engulfing candle. Hey, that's not consistent with what I'd want to see out of a bullish market. Am I shorting that? No, I'm not shorting either. Even though I've got a bearish cycle in here, it has not produced. So I'm just waiting to see one side or the other. Do they have control? If they do have control, I'm going to see it in the price action. I'm going to see nice candles of a single color in that direction. So I got nothing going here. So I get this bearish cycle. I've actually got a bullish cross in here, and I can see, hey, that was not a good breakout either. This bearish cycle finally in here is starting to produce, and we have a new low of the day, but I've also got a bullish cross in here. So now what do I do? Now I'm kind of stuck again. Well, I'm going to look at the price action that we've had to this point first and foremost. And what it's telling me is that buyers and sellers are pretty paired off. There's not really a big commitment one way or the other. So they tried the upside, it didn't work. Now they're going to try the downside. We're into this gap a little bit, but this bearish cycle is run, and I'm not seeing price action that tells me, yeah, you need to short this. No, these are tiny bodied candles. So there are buyers, and that's why they're tiny. Is you sell it off, you buy it up. You sell it off, you buy it up. And you close pretty much where you open that candle. So no, I wouldn't be doing anything aggressively in here. And there's a chance that this support level, as daunting as that red candle looks right there, there's a good chance that this support level could hold because I've got a bullish cross. So no, I'm not doing anything in here. Let's see what happens. Well, looky there. It did produce, and it is producing a little bit of a bounce. And now when I look at the price action, again, context, super important. Price action first and foremost. So if you're watching this video, let me just reiterate this. Price action is something that you can get from any chart. You don't need Option Stalker Pro for that. You can get this off of any chart, and that drives my decision making more than anything else. And I'm showing you how I'm going through that process. So even though I am referencing the indicator I use to trade, you can learn an awful lot from this video by the price action analysis that I'm currently showing you. And it works equally well for short time frames for the S&P 500. It works equally well for long-term trades on the S&P 500 for swing trading. It works for short-term time frames for the stock, works for longer-term time frames for the stock. It works universally. It's early. Price is truth. Much better than learning how to trade any kind of indicator, because those are always late. And by the time a lot of these indicators provide a signal, it's too late. The move is already over. Plus, when you know how to read price action, indicators oftentimes give false signals. So you can't buy every bullish cross. You can't sell every bearish cross because some of them aren't legitimate. How do I know which ones are legitimate? The price action. How we got from point A to point B. Learning how to read that price action is going to tell us, for some of these indicators, when that cross is legitimate and when it's fake. Price action is everything. Let's continue. So we've got this nice bullish cross, and yes, we should not have bit on that long red candle to a new low of the day. We should have waited to see what was going to happen because of the context of the price action to that point. So now we've got a bullish cycle. We'd like to see this bullish cycle produce. What would we like to see it produce? We'd like to see it produce nice long green candles that get easily above VWAP and that continue to push higher and maybe even make a new high of the day. That's what I'd like to see out of the bullish cycle. That's what would get me long. That's what would get me excited. Am I going to see it? I don't know. I'm going to watch. And to this point, no. We get to VWAP and we back right back off of it. And the longer this compression lasts through the course of the day, the more likely we are to stay in it, because buyers and sellers are in balance. They're not able to push the market one way or the other. Now I've got a bearish cross looking like it's going to form in here. What would I want to see? I'm always in the mindset of what do I want to see? What confirms the next move? What I'd want to see is, now that I can't get above VWAP, is I'd like to see us take out this low with a nice couple of long red candles easily and early in this bearish 1OP cycle. Yeah. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? I should have gone fishing today. I shouldn't have been trading today. I should have been fishing, because there's not anything that's going to be happening in the market right now. We're up, we're down, we're in this compression. Neither side has control. So, okay. Well, I dipped down to the zero line. I've got a little bit of a bullish cross. I got a little bit of a bounce. Still nothing to excite me in here. I'm just looking for any kind of decent candles in one direction or the other. And I've got a bullish cross, and I'm not really getting a whole lot of anything. And now we're 2/3 of the way through the trading day, and I'm thinking there's not a lot going to be happening today. There's not going to be a lot in terms of trading S&P futures for sure. And you can see how when we were waffling back and forth, bullish, bearish, bullish crosses back and forth, and we're around that zero line that's consistent with this price action being really crappy. And it does tell me that I should reduce my trade count and reduce my size, because this is a low probability trading environment. And we're into this gap. So there hasn't been really anything great to sink my teeth into on this particular day. And knowing when not to trade is just as important as knowing when to trade. So we're getting through the trading day here. So let's see how it plays out. And yes, the market does continue to drift lower, and this bearish cross does start to produce. Am I going to be aggressive here? Not really. I mean, every little move is retraced. So you get red candle with green candle, red candle, green. There's nothing good here. If I had a really weak stock that I could trade and short, I could consider it. And then we get a nice little cross towards the end of the day. So we're going to move on to the next day. Geez, here we go again. Now we have a bullish cross, okay? Right in here. But this is from the previous day. So we come in and there's our gap up. So let's talk about the gap up. Do we chase gaps up? No, we don't chase gaps up. But what would I like to see out of this bullish 1OP cycle? I would like to see the stock easily get through the previous day high. I would like to see that bid check happen with most of this gap being preserved. That would tell me that buyers are engaged. They're supporting that gap up. They want to buy that gap up. Any attempt to sell the market off has failed because buyers have the upper hand. So that's what I would be watching for, and I'd be watching for us to blow through this previous day's high. So, oh, everything's kind of happening. We're late in this bullish cycle that started way back here. So, yeah, I'm not super aggressive with it, but I do like the fact that the market was able to move through that high easily. I should, by the way, zoom out to see if any other relative highs come into play. Not really, okay? So that's kind of clean. That's nice. Would I be long in here? This is a place where you could take some longs right in here, but again, it would be bullish stocks. Could I take a long? Again, I need to see this candle hold. I'm not going to be early on this. I'm going to make sure that this long green candle is legitimate. I do not like chasing gap and go formations because of the downside risk. So I definitely want to make sure, and I'm getting near the end of this bullish cycle. So if I tried a long right here, call it 655, that 655 level is going to be my stop out. And in here, I want to see that immediate follow through. And I do get it in here. So if I'm buying in here on this follow through, I'll wait for this candle to complete. So 655.55 would be my stop. I do not want this green candle given up. I want to see it be very, very stubborn. And I'll use the open of 555 as my stop. So yeah, I would be in here. I've got the bullish cross. It's getting near the end of that bullish cycle. At least it looks like it is. So I don't like gap and goes. All right, so I'm in here. And again, this is my stop level right here. I want to see follow through. I'm okay right in here. Haven't taken a loss on the position. Would like to have seen this hold up. Got a little red candle in here. I've got a bearish cross. So I need to tread very cautiously. And I'm going to keep that as tight as possible. And I want to see this red candle reversed pretty quickly. And now I'm seeing a bearish hammer in here. So I'm not super gonzo on being long this position. This is about my entry point. So I'm kind of waffling back and forth. Do I want to stay in the position? Do I want to give it a chance? It did break out nicely to a new high. The market trend has been stronger long term. So yeah, I'll give it some time. I'm willing to risk, say, the 5 points on the downside for possibly 15, 20 points of upside. But I'm very cautious because of that bearish cross. And oof, good. I'm starting to get through because this long green candle was important to me. It helped me stay with the position because that didn't materialize into anything more. Oh, awesome. Now I've got another breakout to a new high and OneOp crossed back up. So this bullish cycle is going to continue. I'm happy sticking with the position. Am I adding to it right now? Well, we've got another long green candle in here and we've got follow through to it. I could add to the position. Probably not going to. I've got a little bit of volume in here, so not 50-50 on whether or not I would add to the position. And now we're starting to get a little bit of retracement again. So, is this a super powerful move? No, because I would have seen more of this continuing higher and I didn't get it. So I'm sticking with my initial position. This long green candle was able to hold. The halfway point of this long green candle held. A couple of bullish hammers off of it. So I'm pretty happy, especially if I've got long stock positions that have been performing that have good relative strength. I'm sticking with it. Notice I'm always referencing. We don't need to trade futures. We are not multi-billion-dollar funds that have to trade S&P futures. Everybody's attracted to it for leverage reasons. Far and away, there's a huge edge to trading stock, and you know that because that is in every single one of my videos. If by chance I were to get long the market here, and if by chance the market had reversed instead of heading high, a stock with relative strength has enormous upside potential to it because institutions are in there buying it. And if the bottom fell out of the market, the bottom would not fall out of that stock. It gives me that natural cushion. That is our edge. And if I trade 2, 3, 5,000 shares of stock, that money that I make is going to be very substantial to me as an individual trader. It's not going to be meaningful to a large institution. So I can make really nice gains trading stock. I can be in and out of that stock with ease. I'm not going to drive the market with 5,000 puny little shares, but it's going to be very meaningful from a profitability standpoint for me as an individual trader. Point is, don't trade futures, trade stock. But yes, if you're hell-bent to trade futures, then this indicator is going to help you. So look, now we've got the bullish cycle continuing. We're seeing price action that's consistent with the market moving higher. We've got a long green candle. I want to use it as a landmark. I want to see the open of that long green candle preserved. If that open is breached, I am taking gains, and I have pretty decent gains at this point. So yes, looks like we're going to get a little bit of a bearish cross in here, but it easily fizzles. The market's starting to go sideways. This long green candle has, the open of it has been preserved. And a little bit of a close below it right now. Market's moving higher. Now we're starting to see signs of resistance in here. Okay, tiny bodied candles, not able to get through the high. I have a bearish cross right in here. And we're starting to see that, yes, off of a nice big spike, we're starting to distance ourselves from the blue line. So the fast line is moving lower. I'd be taking gains in here. Would I have been wrong taking gains right here on that close below that open? No, that would have been a very legitimate exit, and that would have been a nice trade. From call it 657 is where we would have been out roughly. And we were in somewhere back in here. We needed to see follow through on that breakout, so we would have been in here at, that's about a 15-point gain on the futures. Very nice, but yeah, I would be out here for sure because I've got that bearish cross setting up and I've got signs of resistance here. Compression at the high, tiny bodied candles, market not able to. And I'm going to wait and see. What do I want to see out of this bearish cycle? Well, if I'm bullish, then I don't want to see it produce at all. And so far, it has not produced. The market's been able to hold those gains. It's been able to hold its own. This is a bullish cross, but not below that zero line. So to consider that bearish cycle over, we would want to see it below. I'm just going to keep on going. This could be a very long video. I don't care because I'm teaching you price action. Some of you will stick with it and some of you won't. So hopefully you're finding the information useful. And now you can see, what does the market do? It just compresses. This is a gap and go formation. Oftentimes in a gap and go formation, you'll see the initial move run its course in the first 90 minutes of the day, and then you'll see nothing after that. So that's kind of what happened here. We had that nice little rally early and now nothing. So bearish cycle here, didn't produce. We're not doing anything. There's resistance. Market not able to move higher, and we're at the close of the day. And let's see how the next day plays.